really brutal on her. The vomiting and the diarrhea, and her hair started falling out.
A mom and dad turn to a new treatment to stop their child's suffering. But does it work? That's coming.
On the show, we explore various alternative health therapies that are being used in place of and alongside conventional medicine. People worldwide are crediting the cannabis compound CBD for helping with everything from childhood seizures to cancer without causing you to get stoned. CBD can now be found in a variety of products, including oils, capsules, teas, and lotions. But while solid medical research surrounding CBD's health properties is still in its infancy, our next guest, Tracy, credits the treatment in part for saving the life of her daughter, Sophie.
So Sophie was born on October 3rd, 2012. She was perfect and was the picture of health until at 8.5 months old, we noticed that her left eye had begun to shake back and forth. And over the next couple of days, I saw that it continued to shake more and more. So we called her pediatrician immediately. And at 6 a.m., we showed up for an MRI. We went home, she was fine, we felt relieved, and the phone rang, and it was Sophie's pediatrician. He proceeded to tell me that they had found something on Sophie's MRI and that she had a brain tumor.
Any parent, you want your kid just to have a normal life. That's what we all ultimately want for our kids. And we weren't looking at that.
The challenge with these tumors is because they keep coming back and because they wrap around the optic nerves, a lot of kids go blind. The only option our child was offered by her oncologist was chemotherapy.
I felt so powerless. There was nothing I could do for my child, and chemo being the only option was, I don't know, it was pretty devastating to both of us.
So we started the chemo, and at first it was really, really brutal on her. The vomiting and the diarrhea, and her hair started falling out, and we just couldn't get it to stop. So through a chain of events on social media, I was put in touch with Ricky Lake and Abby Epstein, who had just started producing a film about using cannabis oil for pediatric cancer. After looking at the evidence that they brought forward, and after investigating it ourselves, and after speaking to Sophie's oncology team, we decided we wanted to try this. So we started her on a very low dose. We put it on her passy, and she would eat it. And we slowly would work it up, and we watched and waited over a 2.5-month period. They were just about to the point where they were going to have to change her chemo protocol once we got that first scan, and that first scan was amazing. The combination of the cannabis oil and the chemotherapy together was quite exciting to not only us, but the doctors, because the tumor was shrinking. Sophie just turned 5 years old. Today, she's healthy, she's happy, she's thriving. She's still in treatment, but to meet her and to know her, you would never know that this child gets chemo pumped into her every other week.
When you go through things like this, you think a lot about the future. Just looking ahead to her graduating from high school and me being able to walk her down the aisle. And now that picture is so much more clear to me.
I don't know if it can cure cancer, but I 100% believe in it as a medicine for cancer.
Tracy and her husband Josh join us along with Sophie's Dr. Bonnie Goldstein. Thank you all so much for being with us. And obviously, we're so happy that Sophie is doing well. And as parents, I want to ask you, because obviously you're passionate about this, what do you think life would be like for Sophie without this additional treatment, if you will?
I believe this oil has helped my child on so many levels. Not only has it helped preserve her vision, her neurologist told us she had a 100% chance of going blind with minimal vision in the right eye being a best case scenario. We shrank that tumor by 85 to 90% that first 13 months, and the tumor was not supposed to shrink. And what we have seen from an immune response has been incredible. She suffered from 9 blood transfusions that first 13 months, and 4 months before she got off chemotherapy, she stopped needing blood transfusions. Her doctors actually came to us and said, unless there's something else that you're doing at home that we don't know about, we want to attribute this to the cannabis because this is medically impossible, and cannabis was the only thing we were doing.
Well, just to clarify for our viewers, and we're so glad she's doing so well, but you were doing the CBD oil alongside the chemotherapy, correct? It was really kind of meant to make it much more tolerable so that the chemo could do its work, improve her quality of life, and allow both to do their job together, correct?
We 100% believe in the synergy of Western medicine and cannabis oil. This is not, we would never go against our doctors and take our child away from their care or remove those chemotherapies because we just don't have enough science yet to tell us how this medicine needs to be administered.
Exactly.
perfectly.
And I think you are a wonderful advocate. As a parent, to use the word science, Dr. Goldstein, I want to ask you the role of cannabinoid oils, not only in Sophie's treatment, but obviously the expanding possibilities with it.
Well, in Sophie's case, it was an add-on. But in my practice, where I take care of a lot of children, I have a lot of patients that come to me where nothing else is working. And we've had a handful of cases where cannabis by itself has actually put children into remission. But the scary thing is we don't know what dose, we don't know how long they have to take it for, we don't know what combination of cannabis oils they need to take. And so without the research that we need, and again, everybody should know that right now, cannabis, despite being legal in California and in other states, it's still federally illegal because it's on a Schedule I controlled act. And unfortunately, we're not allowed to do the research that we need.
I want to continue this conversation after the break, but I always love it when we have guests on the show, no matter what they are promoting, that are calling for more research, more data, because research leads to scientific discoveries, safety protocols, and so much. The fate of the CBD oils right now is being tested because the FDA recently warned several manufacturers to stop making the health claims regarding the products. We're going to debate whether regulating CBD, how to do it in a helpful way versus harmful way when we come back.
Coming up.
It looks like a miracle when your child is finally well.
Can these oils be the cure millions are seeking? That's coming up.
Many claim the cannabis compound CBD has significant medical benefits without making people feel stoned. People are using it for a variety of ailments, including epilepsy, insomnia, and even cancer. But now the FDA is cracking down on CBD sellers, sending warning letters to a handful of online companies. They say companies cannot post product testimonials or unproven claims that the oil can treat cancer. But some do say without these claims, it's impossible to get the word out about CBD's potential health benefits. So are CBD oil health claims helpful or harmful? Let's continue our conversation about the product CBD. CBD advocates Tracy Ryan and Dr. Bonnie Goldstein join us now alongside Daniel Fabricant, the former FDA supplement director and president of the Natural Products Association, because in the previous segment, we talked about the need for more research. Daniel, I want to bring you into the conversation because there have been a lot of claims made without the science to back it up. So the FDA has jumped in and said, wait a minute, you can't say things like this will cure cancer or these other claims where there's no great science on it. So where do you stand on this? Because obviously you have a passionate doctor, passionate parents who have seen this oil help their daughter. Where do you stand on this?
Right, and their story's tremendous. It shows the promise in natural products. People want to get away from synthetics and get to naturals. And so I think, though, what happens when products start making claims that they're treating and curing, those are drugs. And those warning letters from FDA, they were called unapproved new drugs. That's not the country we live in. We don't just put unapproved new drugs on the market. We make sure that the trials are there, that they've shown proof, not just for one American, but for all Americans.
And is it in a strange way because it's not necessarily regulated now? Is that why these companies were able to come out and say, hey, we can make these claims of being able to cure cancer, et cetera, because at this point there isn't a ton of regulation?
Well, you can't make claims on anything calling itself a dietary supplement to cure, treat, or mitigate a disease. Dietary supplements don't treat, mitigate, cure disease, especially things, cancer, Alzheimer's, what have you. So that's first and foremost. You do have, if you're looking to treat diseases, there's a process for that. And there are companies actually going through that process with CBDs right now.
Yeah, I understand that GW Pharmaceuticals is doing a trial right now on purified cannabinoid oil, I guess the CBD oil. Do you have any insight or kind of information about that?
Well, it's been going on for some time, and yeah, I think that it shows that there's a way to get to market. If you do want to treat a disease with cannabis products, there's a way to do it.
Well, given that there's a place for CBD oil, but I guess you have to be careful as a consumer because not all CBD products, oils, are being sold, put together in the same fashion with same concentrations.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's why it has to be studied. And you heard that in the last part of the segment is you've got to get the dosage for women, men, children. Who is it for? What's it for? And making sure that's studied appropriately so there's a balance between risk and benefit.
Well, I think there was a recent study that just was released in the Journal of the American Medical Association where they actually looked at CBD products, like 84 products from 31 companies, and they found that only 31% of those oil products were accurately labeled with actually how much CBD they even contained. And also a significant number of them, I think it was 18 out of 84, actually had THC in addition to the CBD oil, correct?
Yeah, is it surprising that someone who's going to make disease claims, skirt the law already, isn't going to have good quality products? I mean, that kind of goes hand in hand. Is if you're going to make a claim on a disease, that's a drug. You should go the drug route. If you're not, you're just going to put products in the marketplace, commercialize it without doing the work, it should come as no surprise that those products don't have what they're supposed to have in them or claim to have in them on the label.
So I want to ask Dr. Goldstein, you are someone who is treating patients using cannabinoid oils. When you source these, how do you go about doing that in a way where, even though in some ways you still don't have the perfect protocols, how do you at least know the product is safe and what parents and you are paying for?
So what's happened in California is that when we first passed the law, there really wasn't any regulation. And now it's taken us 22 years, but as of January 1, everything on the market will be labeled and tested. That's available to anybody in California to get. If you have a medical cannabis approval, you'll be able to go and get medicine that is labeled and tested. But think about it, 22 years, kind of what they call the Wild West, which what I tell people is, don't get anything if you don't know what it is. Good, responsible companies that provide excellent oil, the oils that my patients are getting better on, have test results on their websites. They have test results available. If I were to call a company and say, you know, a patient got oil from you, can you send me the test results? If I don't have that in my inbox, in my email, it's a deal breaker.
So is that the biggest red flag, if the company's not willing to give you the test results?
That's exactly right. Everything should be tested, it should be transparent, and they should be excited to share that with you, to show you exactly that their oils are exactly what they say it is. And if I could just add in, what I've seen, I know it's science, I know these compounds and the way they work in the brain, because that science has actually been established. But the reality is that it can look like a miracle when you've been struggling with a child who's been sick for years and years and years. It looks like a miracle when your child is finally well.
And I want to address parents right now, because Tracy, I'm sure that you and Ryan are here representing a lot of parents out there whose kids have struggled. The reason that this is such a hot button issue is because when you hear kids and cannabis, it's a scary association. Just to clarify for everyone watching, CBD is very different than THC, which is the component of marijuana that people consider to give them the high. We are believers that in certain individuals, even without great science, this has really changed the lives of countless children. But I'm assuming that you two also have observed the hurdles out there, because it's a hot button issue. Again, you're hearing weed and kids.
Right.
Is that proving to be a hurdle for you all in your desire to advance this treatment?
It hasn't for us personally, and I'll tell you why. Because if you actually look at why cannabis is illegal in the first place, you'll find that it's all based on stigma and power and money. It had nothing to do with it being dangerous. In 3,000 years of using this medicine, no one has ever died from cannabis overdose.
The effect of cannabis on the brain of a developing child, there's some concerning studies out there with that.
But there's also
so you got to be a little careful there.
Of course. You want to jump?
Yeah.
People overdose on water. People can overdose on anything. It's the dose that makes something helpful or harmful. So the notion that it's because it's natural, it's perfectly safe.
Dr. Goldstein, I'll send it back to you in that regard, because no one out there wants kids recreationally using marijuana because of the potential effects on brain development. How do you bridge that gap between kids who need it medically versus the kids who are out there hearing it's fine, it's benign, no problem, I don't have to worry about using this substance, it's not going to cause me any issues?
Well, one thing that we have to understand is really, how is it working in the brain? What we're finding is that there are diseases that the root cause is there's an imbalance in that system that is supposed to keep you in balance. And so those are the patients that we're trying to target. In a healthy teenager, I'm the mom of a 17-year-old boy. I started teaching him when he was 8 years old that he is healthy, and that by taking any substances, during the time of development, which really adolescence is a very vulnerable time when you're taking things that you shouldn't be taking, you can throw off that endocannabinoid system that's keeping you in balance. You throw that off, you can create problems. But we remember the patients that we're treating is in pediatric age